Okay, friends, if you're on Facebook, this is the opportunity to double check if you can see us there and if you can hear us as well. Hopefully, we'll be able to be joined by you here on Facebook as much as in the app, so we can exchange. Okay? Yeah, apparently Facebook has an issue there. Patience, patience, patience. Yeah. All right. Let's check it out and see if we're here. Yes? Can you see us, friends? Just give us some notifications telling us if you can see us. Some reason I cannot see your notifications here, so I'll keep going and hopefully we are here on the app as well. Okay, so this is attempt and learning. Attempt. Okay. All right. I can see friends here. Thank you. I cannot see from my phone, but I can see you here from the other part of it. So forgive me for the interruptions, but thank you. You're good. We're good now, Rihanna and Karina. Thank you. Let me know if there's anything, okay? All right. Keep writing or keep informing me either here or through the app. Okay, I just got you guys. Good. All right. Yeah. It's funny because it's everything to do with the title, Attempt. And we are here attempting to make it work. That's the beauty of it all. Thank you, Karen Mark. Thank you, Karina, Sunshine, Lea Severo. Thank you, Sol, Nina, Tanya Stewart, Leonor Pacheco. Thank you for your friendship, for your support, and your patience. We've been studying to become better Spiritist practitioners. Why is it important to instruct ourselves? Because, as the Spirits say, when we, quoting from Jesus, when we get to know the truth, it frees us up, frees us from ignorance. This night, we were at the Spirit Side of Virginia, studying the 3 revelations. And when we were studying it, the spirit mentor, Prentice Mulford, came by to lead us into the understanding that the truth is like gold in a mine. Truth is like gold in a mine. And the gold miner of all gold miners is Jesus Christ. He sent other gold miners to help us learn how to get into the mines and dig for the divine within, which is the true gold inside of us. So when we talk about revelations, like the Spiritist revelation, it's taking the veil off of truth and we can see it clearly. The gold that is there inside of our conscience. You and I are divine. We need to dig deeper to find this gold within. And Prentice Mulford, funny enough, he was born in Long Island in the 19th century, moved to California to be a gold miner, and when he was there, he got to know of spirituality way before Spiritism was codified, way before many thoughts were brought forth for the New Age era. And he is considered one of the forerunners of the new era on the earth. He talks about in one of his renowned books, Thoughts Are Things, many things that we will learn later with André Lewis in books like Mechanisms of Mediumship. showing to us this universality of the Spiritist teachings, that, as Kardec said, we did not create these teachings. Kardec compiled teachings that have been disclosed on the earth for the longest time. So that's why we're all embracing. There is religious tolerance, and our goal is to mine for the gold, not the gold medal, not the gold in the bank, not the gold in the furniture, not the gold in the car, the jewelry, but in the heart, as Jesus says. And Emmanuel later brings to us the good news, seeking the good, which is kind of the gold, right? Feeling the good and visualizing the good, molding this good with all the resources we have at hand, mining for the gold. These messages that are for the Spiritist practitioners are true gold mining experiences. Okay? Tonight the teacher is Brother Jacob. Brother Jacob is with us tonight in this message that he wrote to lead us into new awareness. This is awareness for the Spiritist practitioner, because he himself, when he was Frederico Figner, the renowned Spiritist director in Brazil, who was a benefactor, who helped so much and was a spirit counselor, he comes from the afterlife to reveal a facet of this carnation, of the awareness, the awakening in the spiritual life that we've forgotten. Okay? Right, my friends? Teresa Catapano, thank you very much. Angelita, beautiful Angelita de Paula, how are you? And Lisa Teles, Andrea Torres, Teresa Castro. Friends, Brother Jacob discarnated, and when he wrote the book Voltei, I Came Back, he was writing 1953. 1953. When he wrote it to us, okay, he says, through Chico Xavier, after several experiences, I came to Peter Leopoldo for the first time after my release in 1953. He says, he discarnated, and the first thing he said, when he could, he was visiting Chico Xavier in the city of Peter Leopoldo. As it appeared to me differently from the group I had visited in August 1937 with my dear Watson, a friend of his. He first visited Chico Xavier when he was still incarnated in 1937. The humble house was filled with discarnated people. The humble house was filled with discarnated people. This is interesting. Thank you, Olivia Moraes. Thank you, Rudy and Hercules. The humble house of Chico Xavier, the Spiritist Center, was filled with discarnated people. This is so interesting, and we say that because many people still think that big Spiritist centers are the real deal, okay? But we're learning here, once again, that that's not the rule. That is not the rule. The rule is not the external features. The companions around the table were few. You see, few mediums, few people in the mediumistic meeting, but a lot of discarnate spirits. There were no more than 20 people in the whole room. The walls, as if dematerialized, gave place to vast number of needy souls. That the mentor of the house, with the collaboration of many workers, sought to help with the evangelical word. I'm going to put a pause because there are friends here, Teresa Catapano and Tanya Stewart. They're saying they cannot hear. I'm sorry, friends, but I would like to ask those who are, go to the app if you can, because it looks like it's working there, and or cardiacradio.com, the website. And if the other ones who are watching us, if you cannot hear us, let us know, please, okay? Thank you, Adilson. Thank you, Fabiana. It's good to see you here too. Beautiful mother. So, he says, thank you, Adilson. I walked in. So, Brother Jacob goes visit Chico Xavier in his center, and there are only 20 people. Lots of discarnated people. Humble Spiritist Center. And sometimes we take for granted. And we forget that Jesus, all of his meetings were in a humble setting. Peter's house. Peter's house. So how long is it going to take for us to go back to simplicity and trust that God is everywhere? G-O-D, God is here. G-O-D, God is everywhere. G-O-D, God is everywhere. God is not only at John of God's house in Brazil. God is not only where Divaldo Franco is. God is not only where the Dalai Lama is. God is everywhere. In your house, in your neighbor's house, in your heart, in your neighbor's heart. Everywhere. Thank you, Adilson. Thank you, Karina, for double checking. Kara and Mark Smith, too. So he says, I walked in, flanked by 3 brothers, and I received warm embraces. That's beautiful. Noting the care of the leader, the coordinator, and anticipating the particularities of the meeting, I remembered the controlling spirits commonly referred to by our friends from England. We stood before a balanced spiritual director. So any Spiritist center has a spiritual director, the main mentor. All experiments and achievements of the night were scheduled. All experiences. Nothing happens by chance. There's a high planning in the spiritual realm. If when you go to work, there is a business meeting and it's well coordinated, do you think in the spiritual realm? Do we think that in the spiritual realm, the good spirits are not going to have plans that are even more organized than us? They will, right? Exactly. Hercules is reminding us also in Maria and Martha's house, Lazarus' house. Good reminder, Hercules, when Jesus used all these apparently ordinary places, these humble houses, but extraordinary things happened, because extraordinary things don't happen depending on the external. They depend on the inner. So Brother Jacob describes, countless threads of dark substance moved from suffering entities as moving yarns, trying to reach the components of the small assembly of incarnates. But under the supervision of the group's mentor, a beautiful, fine dash of light was created to cover the square where they were, which attracted the emanations of leaden color, extinguishing them. A friend explained to me that people in distress, without the physical body, they project dark energies, children of sadness and revolt, in the houses of Christian fraternity, where assistance tasks are improvised. So you see, we need to be very vigilant, because there are many discarnate spirits who are in distress, and they be mingling with you and I anywhere we are. And if we don't pay attention, we're going to feel and resent this interaction. It's a vibratory exchange. We need to read more the chapters in the book Genesis 13 and 14 that talk about perispirit and the spiritual fluids, so we understand how we emit and absorb what is in agreement with our emissions. André Luiz, in the book Mecanismos da Mediunidade, Mechanisms of Mediumship, he talks about the law of the mental field. The law of the mental field is, for us, what we call, we attract what we emit. If we emit love, we're going to attract love. But we need to look at it from a perspective of many lives, not only this life. We're still reaping what we have sowed in a previous life. So we have to be very conscientious. Right, Sylvia? Right, Israel? Thank you for joining us. So we need to be very fully aware that we're going to attract what we emit. He says, I observed that spiritual workers drew from some elements of the meeting as you prayed and attended requests between the two worlds. A great copy of fluidic energies, taking advantage of it in the materialization of benefits for the discarnate in painful conditions. So often we are in Spiritist meetings thinking that we are receiving, and we barely know that we can be also giving and will be used in this giving opportunity for the discarnates who are suffering, who, by the way, are majority. On the earth, discarnates are still majority. They are majority. Okay? Yes, Sylvia, we are what we think. Thank you, Teresa. So he says, I could not analyze the whole extension of the service that was being carried out there. But my friend explained that in all sessions of religious faith, devoted to the good of the people, the co-workers willing to help with joy are harnessed by the messengers of superior realms that extract from them the magnetic resources which Karl von Runschbach baptized as odic forces, converting them into precious utilities for the demented and supplicant entities. So what is interesting here is, first of all, that Brother Jacob reveals something to us that we probably didn't know. We always think that the discarnates in a meeting or anywhere, they can see everything. No. They can only perceive at the level of their spiritual evolution. High spirits can see a whole lot. It's like a mountain, as Kardec says. And when you go to the top of this mountain, you can see a lot. If you are in lower levels, you can see partially what's going on. And that's what happens. The more we elevate ourselves, the greater is the horizon we can perceive. The lower the evolution, we can see much, much less. Right, Fernanda? So he says that in all sessions of religious faith, this is beautiful. Spiritism is not only tolerant, but all-embracing. We're truly Unitarian. We embrace all religious pathways. We recognize the truth everywhere. Read the book. Let's read the book, On the Way to the Light by Emmanuel, through Chico Xavier. And there we're going to see. Chico Xavier there psychographs a message where we can clearly see the different religious pathways being blessed and guided by this beautiful team of Jesus. They are working together. They're all friends. Why are we going to fight? Why are we going to create dissensions? It doesn't make any sense. Are you happy to know it? There is no conflict. No, there is no. My mind, however, he keeps saying, Brother Jacob, was interested in the rapport with the medium. I was focused on the idea of using the medium for a contact with the world that I had left. Remember, he discarnated. He wanted to come back and talk to the incarnate people through a medium. I broke the conveniences and I asked for the help of the spirit mentor of the meeting, although the respect that his presence inspired me. He did not receive the request with dislike because he is a superior spirit. He touched my shoulder. This is interesting. Emotional body language. He touched my shoulder paternally, just so we visualize the approach of the loving spirits. Very coherent. Body, and I say spiritual body, emotional body language, and mind overall. Paternally and highlighted. My good friend, it's only fair to wait a little longer. We do not have here a simple service of registration. It's advisable to acclimate yourself with the medium. The spiritual connection requires more labor-intensive connection or care. Are you surprised? Because Brother Jacob, he was kind of surprised. He didn't expect that it would be that hard to communicate through a medium, because he used to be a spirit counselor in a spiritist mediumistic meeting. And for him, from his perspective, it was just a given. And he learned firsthand, after he discarnated, that we can communicate XYZ ways with mediums according to what we call, Kardec explains it, fluidic affinity. In the medium's book, Kardec talks about fluidic affinity. A fluidic affinity is kind of like this. Let me give you an analogy. Let's say I want to give a message, deliver a message to, I'll say any name, Divaldo Franco. Let's say I don't know Divaldo Franco. So I don't have a direct contact with him. So what do? I need to find an intermediary. But who? Well, I know a friend who knows Divaldo. So I call this friend and I say, friend, because I already have the affinity, can you please tell Divaldo this? I use a medium. But I know this medium. But if I don't know, it's like going to the street. Or if there's no fluidic affinity, there's no acclimation to it, I then go there, talk to somebody in the street and say, can you please deliver a message? The person's going to look at me like, who are you, by the way? What exactly you're asking me? So there is no sense. So in mediumship, as Kardec says, we need a vibratory plug, a connection. And that's why Facebook is such a blessing, because it expedites these connections, which is the law of society. God bless. Do you think Brother Jacob liked to wait? No. He said, I then remembered, as imperfect and selfish that I still am, he reminded himself of André Luiz from the book No Solar. He had not been a spiritist, and yet the news of the other world were delivered by him. The liberal and understanding director plunged my eyes in a penetrating way, as if I were reading the most intimate pages of my heart. And without my uttering what I thought, he added humbly, "Do not think that André Luiz has attained initiation suddenly. He suffered much in the purifying spheres and attended to the task during 700 consecutive days, acclimating himself to the instrumentality. In addition, the effort is impersonal and reflects the direct cooperation of many benefactors that breathe in higher spheres." So he's telling us that André Luiz spent 2 years acclimating himself to Chico Xavier, and then he psychographed the books No Solar, Until, and Life Goes On. And what does that mean? No matter if we're spiritist or not, we won't be able to communicate through a medium from the afterlife to this life just because we want it. It's like going to the mail, to the post office. You can only mail a letter if you have postage. We can only send messages from the spiritual realm to this realm if we have fluidic affinity with a medium. We cannot enforce it. Okay, hello, Rafael Medeiros. He went on to explain the difficulties, pointing out the obstacles that the connection, and he talked about scientific enlightenment that I could not keep in my memory. Then the spirit mentor promised that he would help me in a timely manner. Really, I was disappointed, but satisfied. Some friends got closer, but I was unable to make me perceived by them. Oh, wow. See, he is discarnated. There are people whom he knows, but they cannot see him. However, I began to understand the natural obstacles in this spirit communication and the renunciation that is needed in the Christian work that Spiritism with Jesus is performing for the world. Friends, this message tonight is a revelation, because it's telling us we need to polish ourselves more, be more patient, be kind, because when we discarnate, things will not obey our will and our whims, no matter how hard we try. We really need to surrender to the order of things, but we need to practice it now. That's why he says, attempt and learning. He tried it, but he learned more. By trying, he learned he had to wait, to do his meditations, to realize about his own inner life. And then he was going to be able to share the story that we already know from the book that we're reading, that we read already, I came back. This is the wisdom for the Spiritist practitioner today. A lesson on humility, a lesson on kindness, a lesson on patience, and a lesson on the need of instructing ourselves more so we fulfill our duties and do better. How about that, friends? Yes, this is going to be it for tonight. It's a lot of food for thought. Sometimes we think just by being a spiritist or a spiritist practitioner, this transition to the afterlife is going to be like piece of cake. Hopefully a non-caloric cake. Right, Paloma? you were here as well. A non-caloric cake, friends. It's not a piece of cake. It's not a walk in the park either. We need to instruct ourselves. So that's why we ask God that we're allowed to come back tomorrow for more wisdom for the Spiritist practitioners. And we're going to have more messages from this amazing book, this compilation, titled Educandário de Luz, through Chico Xavier. Thank you, friends. Thank you, Rudy. Thank you, Sunshine, Tanya, and all of you. A big hug of gratitude. And until tomorrow, God willing.